keep you posted as normal.
All right, item B on our agenda, the Youth Solutions discussion. At this time, council recognizes Rachel Kelly.
Good evening. I've put a little handout on your desks regarding Youth Solutions, and I don't have a PowerPoint presentation, but I was just going to walk you through some of the thought processes here and then leave it to you guys to discuss further if you'd like to. As you know, there's going to be a lot of research and strategy and ground laying as we move forward in Youth Solutions. It's going to be a long game project, but we want to keep the momentum going forward, especially with the summer months approaching, and that's typically when our kids have less to do and tend to find themselves in trouble more often. So we were asked to bring together the police department, the community relations division, and the recreation and parks department, the youth programming division, to do some brainstorming about existing resources and existing programs that we might be able to tweak or target to make a little bit of an impact and move the needle and keep the momentum going in Youth Solutions for this summer before any of the next fiscal year budget modifications have been made, before we really come up with that strategic long-range plan. We wanted to keep it going and implement a few things. So this is what I'm sharing with you, are sort of our quick hitter solutions for implementation this summer. These are proposals, and I can't promise that they'd be executed in this exact manner, so we're certainly open for feedback. But this is what the police and rec staff together felt that they could likely accommodate given their existing resources. I've also highlighted in your little summary what is certainly funded now, what's going to take a little bit more examination to make sure it's possible before we go forward. The first, and Lisa, feel free to chime in on your stuff here. Lisa helped a lot with this. Jennifer Matherly has also been doing a lot of work on the research and strategy side with Mr. Albright. So there's a lot of good work happening. The mobile recreation unit is a trailer van that's going to be upfitted along with the City of Graham, thanks to a grant from Impact Alamance, that can take recreation programs into communities, which seems to be a great way to engage people that aren't already engaging with our rec and parks programs. So this MRU was already funded through that grant, which is fantastic, and should be ready to deploy in July. The plan would be to work with the police department and identify some of these neighborhoods where they could bring in the mobile recreation unit. So that's something that's already in the works, and we think will target youth, and we can be a little more strategic in where we're going out to deploy this piece. The summertime playground camp is something that's been in place for quite some time. It's been successful, and this year, in addition to the North Park and Robinson Park locations, they're adding another summertime playground camp at Elmira Community Center. This program's for 6 to 12-year-olds. It provides free lunch in partnership with ABSS and offers activities, the occasional field trip for these young children at no cost, which is often a barrier to some of the kids that we're trying to reach. 3 of these sessions are currently funded, and staff has agreed to examine the financial and staffing possibilities of adding a 4th free summertime program targeting middle schoolers, because police tells us that's really the age group that we sort of need to be hitting for prevention. So staff is going to look into the feasibility of adding an additional no-cost program for middle schoolers. Summer resource pop-up parties. In discussions, we're finding that a lot of times awareness and accessibility seem to be the problems. We've got great programs in rec and parks that can do good work with the youth of our community, but parents often don't know. They're not plugged in. So the concept here would be to go out again into communities and have sort of these pop-up parties. You're going to have engagement and entertainment for kids, but the target audience is going to be the parents who would like their kids to be engaged doing positive things, but maybe don't know what programs we offer, how they can connect their children to these programs. So coming in, with free food and giveaways and all of the great fun things that Rec and Parks can bring, but really targeting the information component and connecting the resources to the families that need them. This is a little bit modeled after or inspired by a program that Greensboro's got, Summer Night Lights, that I think they created after having sort of a rash of youth violence. So that's, again, being examined. It sounds like something that can probably be absorbed in existing budgets. Extending community center hours, that's something that's been discussed time and time again. Open gyms seem to be really popular at both Mako Bigelow and Fairchild. So the idea of being able to extend these open gyms a little bit later in the evening seems to be a good concept. Staff costs are obviously a concern because we've got to pay folks to be there and monitor that, and realizing how sustainable that is with increased costs. So that's something that they're examining right now, but hope to be able to pull off. Recreation and Parks participating in National Night Out. As you guys know, we have probably the best National Night Out program in the state. It's something police has done a great job at fostering and growing every year. And we've noticed, you guys try to make the rounds on National Night Out, department heads have started to go. Amy Nelson's crowd has started to go out so they can have positive, proactive experiences instead of always code enforcement. And that model's been successful, so it sounds like perhaps we can get Rec and Parks to also take advantage of that great night and again, connect the resources with the communities that may not be aware of what already exists. And then finally, utilizing some volunteer assets. Most of these concepts for initiation this summer don't come with extra budgetary resources. So how can we do it all without asking for more? And we're hoping to tap the pool of awesome police department volunteers. They've done a great job building a volunteer program through their Citizens Academy. We've also got folks who came out to the Youth Solutions Forums and raised their hands and said, we're ready to help, just tell us how. And then the police department's been facilitating a faith community conversation, and faith leaders in their congregations who are trying to do good work and maybe just need to figure out how they can help pull in the same direction. All of these folks seem to be people we can tap instead of tapping our typical part-time staff, instead of, getting the high schoolers or college kids, part-time rec staff to come out and spend their paid hours with us. We might be able to be even more impactful by using community members to go out and help us make these programs happen. So those are our suggestions for just quick hitters in the summer before we get a long-range plan up and moving, before we get a stakeholders group guiding the direction of the initiatives. These are just things to keep the momentum going and keep Youth Solutions at the top of our minds. Happy to answer any questions, or if you guys have any further discussion about that, I'll let you take it away.
Over 12-year-old kids camp.
Or just we do at one site overlook.
That's the 13 to 15.
12 to 14.
Yeah, I want to thank the staff for preparing the April 26th memo with a list of all the different programs. It's a really remarkable list of what's available.
It is, and there's been a few added. I think that's going to evolve and build.
Item 1, the MRU kind of speaks to addressing play deserts or gaps in the city. Have we identified any critical areas that really are play desert or activity lacking areas?
I can speak on behalf of that. So basically, the grant is through the Wellness Collaborative with Impact Alabama. So various members, Amy's on that group, Tony's on that group, and we submitted the grant for doing that in those areas that need to be identified within the grant. So it's all part of the Wellness Collaborative areas, and put that right down the top. In both Graham and Burlington.
So those have already been identified?
Yes.
Can we get a copy of that?
For the grant, sure.
And then in the summer resource pop-up parties, you mentioned awareness and access are the key pieces. Have we looked at any additional access type enablers?
Not at this point, but I do think as a result of the pop-up parties, we're going to have an opportunity to get some feedback from folks about how best they can access it or what the missing pieces are. So hopefully that'll inform us going forward and figuring out how to connect those communities with the resources they need the most.
Other questions or comments from council?
all looks very helpful to me. Kudos to all of you who put together this package. It's a great start, I think, and an excellent way to get into the communities to find out what people are looking for.
We had a great discussion with the Community Relations Division of the Police Department and that youth programming division to talk about what they each do well and how we can connect that better with the community. So it's a good team effort there.